A reading from the book of Sirach. My son, when you come to serve the Lord, stand in justice and fear. Prepare yourself for trials. Be sincere of heart and steadfast. Incline your ear and receive the word of understanding, undisturbed in time of adversity. Wait on God with patience. Cling to him. Forsake him not. Thus will you be wise in all your ways. Accept whatever befalls you. When sorrowful, be steadfast. And in crushing misfortune, be patient. For in fire gold and silver are tested, and worthy people in the crucible of humiliation. Trust God, and God will help you. Trust in him, and he will direct your way. Keep his fear and grow old therein. You who fear the Lord, wait for his mercy. Turn not away, lest you fall. You who fear the Lord, trust him, and your reward will not be lost. You who fear the Lord, hope for good things, for lasting joy and mercy. You who fear the Lord, love him, and your hearts will be enlightened. Study the generations long past and understand. Has anyone hoped in the Lord and been disappointed? Has anyone persevered in his commandments and been forsaken? Has anyone called upon him and been rebuffed? Compassionate and merciful is the Lord. He forgives sins, he saves in time of trouble, and he is a protector to all who seek him in truth. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. Jesus and his disciples left there and began a journey through Galilee. But he did not wish anyone to know about it. He was teaching his disciples and telling them, "The Son of Man is to be handed over to men, and they will kill him. And 3 days after his death, the Son of Man will rise." But they did not understand this saying, and they were afraid to question him. They came to Capernaum, and once outside the house, he began to ask them, "What were you arguing about on the way?" But they remained silent, for they had been discussing among themselves on the way who was the greatest. Then he sat down, he called the 12, and he said to them, "If anyone wishes to be first, he shall be the last of all, and the servant of all." Taking a child, he placed it in their midst, and putting his arms around it, he said to them, "Whoever receives one child such as this in my name receives me. And whoever receives me receives not me, but the one who sent me." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus.
So these days we are reflecting, first of all, on what happened after the Transfiguration. And it's important, as I said yesterday, for us to connect the dots, to connect one event with the other. Because, as we discovered in the first reading from the book of Sirach, that is where wisdom resides. Wisdom is found mostly in our coming to terms with the relationship of one thing to another. And sometimes we are confronted in our own lives and in our world with some very, diverse, even contradictory events and realities. But we have to come to terms with them. We can't simply go to one side and deny or neglect the rest, or go to the other side and deny or neglect the rest. We've got to in some way come to terms in our own minds with the contradictory things that happen in our lives and in our world. So let me give an example. The example from the gospel. The three key, central, one might say most important of the apostles, Peter and James and John. They're also on record as the ones fighting about their own position in the kingdom. And when in the Transfiguration, when they were led up the mountain, they saw Jesus in his glory. And they heard the voice of God the Father saying, as we have heard before, "This is my beloved Son, listen to him." And then they came down, and Jesus performs a healing in which it is evident that the power of God works in human life in unexpected ways. And then they started journeying. And these same apostles, during that journey, are arguing. They want the glory after Jesus had just told them what is the condition, not just the cost, but the condition for that glory is embracing the suffering of the world, embracing the cross. And the cross has always been seen as a sign of contradiction. It's one part opposed to another part. And Jesus hanging on the cross is the reconciliation of that contradiction. So we want to know where wisdom lies. We look to Jesus. Now, Sirach in the Old Testament was only written about 100 years before the time of Jesus. And the beauty of this book, and it's a very, very long book, but it's really worth studying and pondering over. What we saw in the reading, in that first reading, is that Jesus, or rather that the author looks back, and he does this for the whole book, looks back to the whole tradition. The entirety of the Old Testament really is summed up in that book of Sirach, which is why I think it's a good thing for us to perhaps read it, study it, become familiar with it. The whole Old Testament is summed up in that with a view towards, here's the lesson of wisdom. Contemplate it and act in accord with it. And then interpret your present events in the light of that wisdom. And so we find Jesus himself is the embodiment of that wisdom. He embodies the entirety of the Old Testament and looks forward, even into our own day. So our prayer really needs to be, Lord Jesus, teach me. Teach me the meaning of your reality, of the relationship of God with me. And teach me how I must deal with others in that light. He gives us the hint. Look at the least. Look at the people that you want to ignore. Look at the people who threaten you. Look at those that you kind of want to put out of your life. Look at those who are, you might say, beneath you. And pay attention to them. The kingdom of God lies in your relationship with the least. And so let's think about that as to what is the lesson for us today.